Polar Star Podcast.
What's going on? I'm Merf. This is Top Tree State, a show that highlights the people behind the businesses of Maine's cannabis industry. We're here in the Polar Star Podcast studio in South Portland, Maine. Here in studio with my good friend Lee Nason. What's up, Lee?
Hey, what's up, Merf?
Not much, man. Just, excited for this episode tonight. This is with DeVere Cudo of Last Frontier. And DeVere's a good friend of mine. He grows great weed, and we had a great talk about efficiency, I think was the big thing that I got out of this. What did you think of this episode?
Yeah, so we've known DeVere for a while. You know, he was a good friend of a friend, and we got to meet him, hang out at his house, and so we got to know him while he was starting this company.
Yeah, we got to see his progression.
Yeah, he's always had a real passion for growing great product.
Very true, very true. So without any further delay, here's DeVere Cudo of Last Frontier. Before we get to the interview, I wanted to let you know that we are brought to you by Polar Star Podcasts, bringing you community conversations by highlighting the people, ideas, and industries that make Maine so unique. Please visit polarstarpodcast.com and subscribe on YouTube, Spotify, iTunes, and Google Play. If you're interested in becoming a sponsor or creating a show of your own, email polarstarpodcast@gmail.com or reach out through the website. Again, that's polarstarpodcast.com. Welcome to Top Tree State. I'm Merf, and I'm here with DeVere Cudo of
Last Frontier.
Last Frontier.
Yes.
Thank you. How you doing?
Good, you?
Dude, I'm doing great. I appreciate you coming in today.
Oh, no, thanks for having me.
So how'd you... Let's start at the very beginning. How'd you first get interested in cannabis?
Okay, so I would say the first memory I have of cannabis and smoking it would probably be my grandmother smoked.
Yeah.
And I mean, she didn't really smoke around us, but I could definitely remember she had a massage chair, a little reclining massage chair. It had like different compartments in it. And she definitely was like her stash spot, and she would smoke. She had like a little metal pipe. She'd sit there and smoke.
Those classic little metal pipes.
Yes, definitely. The one-hitters. It was definitely the I can remember the branding like I was saying earlier. It was a guy in Idle Hands, classic stoner movie from our time there.
Yeah,
he would rock that company logo. I mean, that was the hit.
Yeah,
there wasn't even you wouldn't even think of glass back then. So
right,
that had to be like the late '90s, going into 2000s. I mean, she didn't really smoke in front of us, but I could still as soon as I knew what that smell was, I could look back and be like, oh yeah, she puffed off.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
That's awesome.
Granny was getting it. And then from there, I think the first time I started smoking was around 2004. I was about 16, and I didn't really smoke too much. But then around my senior year, I was all out.
Yeah,
and I gotta say, I was always kind of intrigued and super into it. Like, I remember always reading High Times when I would get in trouble for having High Times in high school.
Nice.
And, just reading it. And that was, at the time where the big thing was, do DIY hydroponic setup.
Right.
And they'd have, the little totes where you would cut in little holes and hang it with, an air stone inside, a tote you'd buy from, Home Depot.
Yeah, I remember the hydroponics was a big thing.
Yeah, that was when hydroponics was king.
Yeah.
So it was you can grow your own hydroponic, grow the best weed ever hydroponically. Yeah. So then
So did you get one of those kits?
No.
That was just your dream.
As for all the gross stuff I've built and messed up building or succeeded in building, at the time that seemed so advanced to me.
Think
I couldn't wrap my
18-year-old you looking at you now.
This had to be about
damn.
16, 15, 16. I'm looking at it and I thought I could never understand this. This was it was like somebody might as well have gave me the blueprints to build a spaceship at the time.
Yeah.
I'd be now that'd be nothing. I would laugh at you if I walked to your house and show you that. Again, hey, if that's how you gotta grow weed for yourself, that's fine. No,
right.
But teachers their own, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so growing up originally, I guess you'd say more of the time was more of a culture. Now they say it's more of an industry.
For sure.
But I think more of the time was more culture than anything. So I'm coming from, upstate New York, heavy influence early off my late teens. It was, weed coming in from Canada,
Yeah.
BC bud,
Beasters.
you know, sour diesel,
Yeah.
stuff you'd probably get from upstate New York or something like that. Was more of like the influence of the culture, the underground scene, whatever you want to label at that time.
Right.
So,
I mean, yeah, this industry is built on something. It's not like one
yeah,
day. It's
you wouldn't think,
just,
you wouldn't say
know,
industry. It was, you know, culture.
It was a culture, yeah.
And like you really had like, I mean, life was simple then. If you smoked weed and
Like even just having like a High Times subscription was like a part, a part of the culture.
Yeah, it would have to be, you know, you couldn't have that in your bill on your credit card. And
Yeah.
it came like in that thick plastic screen. Like it was like almost like you were buying a porno mag or something. Like
right.
I think it was
it's
more,
almost
more
like
accepted.
As bad.
Yeah. It's like you couldn't get a Hustler, but if that's a High Times, you're a dirtbag.
Right.
But for sure. So definitely, man, at the time, I got to say some of the best weed I ever bought was out of Vermont.
Really?
Outdoors
or
indoor? It was strawberry cough. I couldn't tell you how much money I spent on it at the time, but I just remember being so blown away by it.
Yeah.
Like now, it was probably still good weed for its time.
Mm-hmm.
But that was probably the best weed I've seen for a long time. It had to be till like the late 2000s.
I love like, you know, hearing those old school strain names.
Yeah, I remember
you know, when there was like a very few strain names, and it was just like, you know, Strawberry Cough,
like,
Northern Lights,
OG Kush,
yeah,
Sour Diesel,
Sour
Diesel.
Diesel.
Oh wow, you have Sour Diesel, and then
Yeah.
anything that smelled like a skunk was Sour Diesel.
Right.
So that's definitely the heavy influence of the time in the region. So
have you seen any strains like what do you like nowadays for strains that like go back towards
that time
lineage of that time?
I would say like I still love Chem Dogs.
Yeah.
But that's kind of like everything is so bred and interbred into new stuff.
Yeah.
That
I know it's so it's like overbred, but it's also great. It's in a way, you know, it's
great.
Cool.
Well, if it came in two stages for me. First stage was like it was great as a smoker to try variety,
Right.
And now as a grower, I like it because I like the challenge of growing something new.
Yeah.
And it's not so much as of having something that somebody else has, because two people can take the same genetic and not grow it. It will have the same keynotes like it, but someone could excel at getting it to unlock potential a lot more.
Even if you had like it's even in like what you use like for soil and what you water with. Nutrients will change completely. Even if you got like a seed from the same plant, two seeds from the same plant, you know,
you could definitely have different phenols from that same plant.
True,
and controlled for sure. I tell a lot of people when they ask me, I said the environment of your grow room could change a lot more for you than you think. The lighting, well, everything could play a key note into it, but I think one of the most overlooked things for a professional grower and a recreational grower, somebody that's growing personally, is just the environment of the room.
Right. How do you feel about people playing music for their plants?
You know, honestly, I've wanted to install speakers in my grow.
Dude, give it a shot.
I don't think it would hear it though. It gets so loud in there.
Really, with the
fans, the dehumidifiers,
blast
fans going
some
through.
classical.
I would definitely put some.
See if you get
Spotify
yield increases.
Playlist. Yeah. Oh yeah, I'll do one Spotify playlist, and then I'll do like an old reggaeton dubstep from like the 70s, 80s in the other room, and we'll see what happens.
Right.
But
that would be a cool project.
No, it's funny.
Or play like thrash metal in one room.
Yeah, I could say when I first started growing in Maine in a basement grow, I used to always play hip hop.
Really?
And it was some of the best runs I ever had. Is like the slow, small rooms.
Yeah.
And I always wondered, I was like, man, I'm always in here playing hip hop, or
it's
I don't know.
everyone's in a good mood.
Yeah, it's like, am I just putting his energy off or what?
Yeah.
I remember when I first started going and living out on the West Coast and being on like the Grateful Dead scene somewhat out there with a lot of people that I met through either Grateful Dead concerts, further shows, Fish shows, stuff like that. The scene out there, that there used to be a Phil Lesh album. I wish I could remember what it was. That you'd meet, they'd be like, "Oh yeah, bro, they're like I play this like Phil Lesh something, and the bass solos. I get the best yields off this," and I'd be like, man, that's
Phil Lesh.
I was like, you got to be a dedicated,
just like all the eyes of the world's lives.
Yeah, I play every Dark Star ever played for the first 3 weeks.
I love it.
But yeah, I'd be like, damn, you're a solid deadhead if you could listen to that same Phil Lesh album that many times alone as it is. So maybe like you're that patient, you're just a good grower. But no, I've thought about it. I don't know if they'd hear it though, but I think it'd still be cool to work in there.
Yeah.
And listen and hear some classical music or something going off.
Yeah. Well, everything else has so much to do with it, like the lights and stuff.
Well, on top of on almost like a side note of the music, a lot of people will try going through moon cycles.
Really?
Yes, there's definitely
Even for indoors, where the
indoors, outdoors, growing in general. Yeah, there's
Yeah.
people that strive to get their indoor schedules on a
what would
moon
be
schedule.
what would be the ideal like scheduling there?
I
Like
think
you're
I
like
think
cutting
trying
down
to
on full
you're trying to
moons
like
or
cut
something?
down like when there's a no moon or a new moon. Like you're trying to cut down and have another one through the cycle of the moon.
Yeah.
Or
You're doing like yeah.
yeah, this is all new to me. I just
That's
listened to a
crazy.
podcast the other day.
You want to
where
hear
the guys
a
are saying-
crazy thing that I heard about was that in I think it was like South Korea or somewhere they're growing marijuana with piss, watering it with piss, and then they're like figuring out what they're eating to see what is the like pH and out and like the what's what am I looking for? Like the like mineral stuff that's
what's
your
in there,
urine,
what your body's
and then what
processing to go out.
Yeah.
Damn.
And that's like a whole like subculture of it is of like we have like, you know, the tea like the
compost tea brewers.
teas.
Yeah.
They have compost peas.
I'm trying to remember. I remember they're always thinking like, oh yeah, you could use urine. It's got like heavy potassium in it.
Yeah.
Or something like that. I don't know exactly what it was. No, I've never heard that. I don't know if it's true or not, but I remember years ago.
I don't know if that's true either.
I remember on Instagram.
This isn't a news show.
Yeah, we don't fact check. This isn't.
We do definitely
this
not
isn't
fact
Snopes.
check.
Yeah, you got to do that on your own.
It was all through the grapevine.
Yeah.
Right here.
Well, I remember years ago there was an Instagram joke. They were calling it moon juice or something. It was period blood. So
what was the point of that?
I guess like
to water plants with?
Yeah,
it was
like a flour additive or something like that. Like it was just that it was that rich and good stuff. I guess like.
All right.
Moon, yeah. But anyways, on a less disgusting topic. Where were we? So yeah.
So where is Lost Frontier?
Last Frontier.
Last Frontier. Sorry.
Last Frontier sounds good too.
That's like more of like a dinosaur movie to me.
Yeah, well, when I tell people Last Frontier, they're like, "Isn't that Star Trek?" And I'm like, "No, I don't think that's Star Trek. I think
Star Trek was the first frontier.
Yeah, the final
it?
frontier.
The final frontier.
Yeah, I'm not even a big Star Trek
Rambo,
guy.
First Frontier.
Yeah. So basically, I came up with that name not too long ago.
Yeah.
My original name was Fenario.
I like Fenario.
But then there was, like, no offense to whoever has any other, but there was, like, so many other caregiver LLCs and set companies that had Fenario. There was, like, Fenario Farms and Farms of Fenario. And I saw another one at a sticker one time in Portland, and I was like, man, I'm like, nobody's going to ever know who we all are.
Yeah, yeah. So, I like it. Last Frontier is sweet.
Yeah, so I came up with that basically just, like, I felt like this was the last state to be open and doing it how we're doing it.
Yeah.
And you know, you look at like American history. At one point, like every town had like a small beer brewery, and it wasn't called micro brewing. It was called just a brewery.
Right.
You went to like your local brewery because you liked the beer that they brewed. And at one point, Prohibition, Great Depression, or whatever had happened, they got wiped out, and you saw like bigger guys come in, and that was like the standard of beer forever. Now you see people with fears of this happening to the cannabis industry as a whole,
right,
in the nation.
Yeah.
You see these smaller guys, even bigger than me, being considered small to these outfits and organizations, whether it be Monsanto or a guy along those that just wants to come and knock all the other smaller guys in the head,
right,
and make one big company that runs it. So when I thought about it, it wasn't like I was coming out thinking of what am I going to name my LLC? What am I going to name my company?
Yeah.
I was just thinking about it, and I was talking to my friend. We were just bullshitting, and I said, well, this is like the last frontier. Because it's like you're up north, you have like this northern vibe to it. Nice. And he goes, you should stick with that. So I did.
Yeah.
I mean, this is relatively, I'm months. This is only months ago. I just changed it. So
I like it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
But
so you don't have a store. You're a caregiver.
Yes.
And everything you grow, you are putting in stores.
Storefronts and yeah.
How is that going for you? Is it difficult to, or what's that like?
It was definitely like some nerves at first.
Yeah.
Basically,
you feel like you have a lot of competition?
There's competition, and for some reason, I was doing decently well before the COVID-19 situation came out. But whatever has sparked the consumption of cannabis, nationwide, statewide, from this whole situation, has been very beneficial to people that actually grow a good product.
Yeah.
And it seems like the stores are even more than ever are now trying to keep up with supply and demand.
Everyone got that stimulus check and just wanted to buy weed.
Yeah, I think that's a part of it. And I also think that when that whole quarantine situation, I mean, one, if you're stressing all day about the end of the world, you're puffing tough.
Yeah,
you know,
that's for sure.
It's like recession-proof,
you
depression.
You're sitting home. What are you doing? Yeah.
Yeah. So you think you're not going to work? You're sitting home.
Yeah.
And you double up on weed, and you blaze all week. You're like, I kind of like this. I don't want to stop doing this.
Yeah.
So, but I didn't have too much of a problem. I think when I first started dealing with shops, it was just like self-doubt. Mm-hmm. Do I grow a good enough product? Do I know what I'm doing? Am I going to make myself look like an idiot?
Yeah.
Those are the things I was personally thinking about. And then, I guess, market industry standard-wise, like, do I have what people want? Like, am I going to bring like the same thing 5 guys are already selling them?
Right.
Stuff like that. What's in demand? Do I meet those qualities of demand? But I soon found out that everybody's constantly loving it. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have a hot selling item or a strain?
No, I pulled down a bunch of new stuff, new to me at least.
Yeah.
And it seems like everybody's loving it. That Granimals that I brought earlier today.
Should we check this out?
Yeah, the Granimals I brought seems to be a popular one.
Nana's cookie box holiday.
Yeah, sorry, I was in a rush.
No,
I was in a rush.
Yeah, this stuff looks great.
That's the ice cream cake there.
That's the ice cream cake.
Yes.
We got a little camera here. We can show off your nugs. These smell great.
Yeah. I kind of ran through a lot of stuff by the time I was able to get here.
This stuff looks awesome.
Yeah, that's like a personal favorite.
Yeah, that looks great.
That's the Granimals Grape Ape by Animal Cookies. And when you're chopping that down, it's got like that cereal milk kind of smell to it, which is actually, believe it or not, a very up and coming big thing. People are
cereal milk.
And don't tell me that's not a stoner as fuck.
Dude, for sure.
Yeah, like
I'm not like a big cereal guy. I'm definitely not a milk guy, but
but what burnout hasn't just mound down with the munchies on a big bowl of cereal?
I can't remember that last time I had cereal.
I mean, I don't eat dairy anymore, but I mean, man, I used to go pretty nuts.
Yeah.
Yeah, just a big, like, it'd be like out of Friday or something. You know, I just fill that huge bowl up.
Yeah, that is kind of like an official stoner munchie food.
Oh, for sure, dude.
How many bowls of cereal
just
can you
one
eat?
big ass bowl. You're getting.
I still go at cereal pretty hard.
Yeah, for real. Like one big ass bowl. It isn't multiple bowls. It's one big fucking bowl.
Yeah.
You're getting. Like your mom's Tupperware dish.
Yeah, the biggest
bowl.
It's
like I'm saying, like got a Craig on Friday.
Bowl.
He's like, fuck yeah, nobody's home. Whole quart of milk in there.
Just might as well just take the bag out and just pour milk right in the bag and.
Well, damn, Merf, for somebody who doesn't eat cereal a lot, you got a good idea going here.
Oh my God! All right, what do you think, Lee? Should we take a quick break here? We'll be right back with DeVere Cudo from Last Frontier. On Top Tree State with DeVere Cudo. So Cudo, how did you end up getting to Maine to start growing?
So basically, I was living back and forth between the East Coast and the West Coast, working on different farms, different grows out west. And a mutual friend of mine had moved up here 2009, 2010, and he was always kind of trying to sell the state to me. And at the time, I didn't think it was such a great state as I do now. Seemed kind of like out there, what was going on. The laws were iffy. And basically, I just gave it a shot. 2013, I moved up to the state, moved up to around the Bethel, Oxford County, town of Bethel, Maine. And was doing just smaller grows in the basement. Just trying to do, at the time, that was before you even saw like the rotating medical card slot. So you could find 5 medical patients and do that whole situation. And I actually at the time was doing like at what it looks like now, like what a typical grow would look like, especially on a larger scale for an end consumer being a customer that you're either buying from you or somebody else middlemaning that product. It was pretty back. It was pretty back age kind of stuff. It was a hydroponic flood and drain type setup in like a basement under just like, I think it was like 4 lights when I first started, went up to 6. And at the time, I was growing this banana kush.
I remember the banana kush.
Yes, yeah. So, and that seemed to be a very big hit.
It was, dude. That shit was fire.
Yeah, I mean, I think it yielded really well, and it was really good. Everything extracted really well off of it. And then a friend of mine, Brad from Greener Future, he had went out and got the lab results text back from a local place. I forget the name of it. Verite Labs, I want to say, was the name of it.
I think that sounds
But
right.
it came back at a 30%. And after that, I think it just actually skyrocketed. Whether or not how factual that was, I mean, that I see it was an actual test result.
I mean, I smoked that stuff. It definitely was powerful.
Yeah, definitely
Yeah.
heavy sleeper. Definitely a good, very potent, and it did very well. But I think at the one point, I've had quite a few people say, "Well, it's like it grew like a weed," because no pun intended, I guess. But I just think a lot of people ended up having it.
Yeah.
And for good or bad.
Yeah.
And so I branched off from there, but that was definitely like the first success that I seen in the state.
Yeah.
So I was there for about 2 or 3 years, and I kind of got bigger and changed as the laws and regulations changed with it. Like as there was, if you're every inch they gave you, I was eagerly taking that inch as well.
Right.
So I go into bigger grows somewhere. I want to say around 2017. I want to say 2017. I tried my first, what would be a warehouse grow, commercial grow, however you want to label it. I don't see it as that because somebody who's very into what's going on currently and modern trends, it's relatively small to what you see a lot of people do now. When you're reading and you're watching podcasts and there's people with 5-acre greenhouses.
Yeah.
I consider myself pretty small, but I do my first warehouse attempt 2013. I move up to Augusta area. And I could say, looking back now, as embarrassing as it is to me, I definitely didn't know what I was doing, and I definitely took a lot of swings trying.
Yeah.
But I think now I've got a good thing going. I've been at the same spot for about 3 years.
Yeah.
And just going heavy with it, tweaking it right now, and definitely learning as I go.
It's such a learning process. I feel like every round is going to be something new, right?
Yeah. When I go back and I look at what I do current day, like as of today, when I was in my grow, and then when I look at 2017, when I stepped into an empty building, I've definitely, monetarily wise, I wish I was doing what I was doing today back then. I would have been a lot better off, But I look back and I think it's an accomplishment. It's like anything that you do and you build and you're successful at it. You're growing something, building something. It's that sense of accomplishment when you see a final product, regardless. I think that's one of the things that I've truly enjoyed about growing.
Yeah.
Is just seeing that final product. It's a very good.
Right.
You have to have thick skin to do it.
For sure. Yeah, you gotta be
you're
kind of willing to
you have to be a good
sacrifice.
you're gonna be a problem solver.
Yeah.
Like every day, there's gonna be problems that are gonna come at you that you're gonna have to figure out.
Right.
And I think what's kind of cool now is they've made it being an industry from a culture, like we were saying earlier, is that you're seeing more components that make the job easier.
Right.
More testing, more tried and true products.
Yeah.
You're not going off, well, my homie's homie from Humboldt County or my homie's homies, he used this and it's good. It's like, no, there's actual tried and true.
For nutrients.
Nutrients, pest preventative.
Right.
I mean, when it comes down to nutrients, I think we're seeing more and more that it's the same feather on the same bird when it comes to if you're going to buy synthetic or bionutrients compared to whatever growing style you're going to use for nutrient delivery and medium wise.
Yeah.
It's not going to just be like, oh, these guys sell this, these guys sell that. It's all one and the same. That's what I tell anybody, especially people who are just growing for themselves. They say, well, I'm going to use this bionutrient over that bionutrient. It's like, why don't you just read the ingredients to what's in these nutrients, if they even tell you? Because I guarantee a lot of times people go out and they buy this stuff and they double up on the same things.
Right.
So it's either you had a lack of and now you're doubling up and you're seeing success when you could have just known that you needed these certain amount of things in the first place.
Yeah.
That's why I was saying earlier is everybody, I think the first thing you want to do is you want to look at your environment.
Yeah.
No matter what. And what you can achieve for what you have.
Right.
If you're in a closet, you might not be able to get some things humid or cool down as much. Mm-hmm. But you can find a good sweet spot somehow. Like one of my first mistakes is I always want to do more and more and more. without not having to do more.
Right.
I always wanted to throw up more lights, but then I didn't realize I was going to be messing with it was going to be drier than I wanted to be in the room, or hotter in the room than I wanted to be.
Yeah.
But if I used less lights, I probably would have got more product, more weed in the end.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't have been as hot, it wouldn't have been as dry, it wouldn't have been as stretched out.
Right.
So you have to find, no matter what level of growing style you're growing at, you have to find that comfortability of when's enough for everything.
Yeah.
When, a lot of people were rushing to jump right off rushing. They wanted to run the biggest thing they could.
Yeah.
With the most lights. And then their learning curve was dealing with being as big as they thought they had to be or needed to be. Mm-hmm. So then they go in and they say, oh, I want to run X amount of lights. Well, then you're going to need more power for air conditioning. More now you're not human enough.
Everything's connected.
Yes, it's what I'm saying. So then you're not human enough. So now you're adding humidity. So it's another equipment I had to go out buy to add humidity.
Yeah,
that's more power consumption.
But if you started in your own
exactly,
size,
yeah. If you figured it out and said, all right, with
out.
this, okay, and then now I know I want my humidity at this level. I want my temp at this level. I'm able to control this, and this is what it took to control.
Yeah,
and that's a very, very overlooked factor.
Yeah. For sure. So, how is Maine coming up on rec about to affect your business at all?
I don't know.
Are you going to be able to still sell as a caregiver to rec stores? Or are you just
from what I understand, and I haven't looked at the laws as it changes, they're constantly changing.
Yeah.
And sadly, it's just the way this country works.
Like you said, they give you an inch, you take the inch, and you wait for the
next
next
if I could sell to a
one,
rec store, I sell to a rec store.
But I've heard that there's a lot more laws that are going into rec plants, which honestly doesn't really make much sense to me because I feel like a medical thing should be more regulated than a recreational thing. But it seems like the recreational side is becoming more regulated.
What the ugly truth to regulation is the same ugly truth that we deal in this whole country is that lobbyism, money, gets what you want.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of money to behind this and for this.
Yeah, I know.
And it's to the victor goes the spoils.
Greed scares the shit out of me, man. It's
woe to the vanquished is what it is, So I would like to think that the medical program can exist, but then hence the whole name of the company that I run is Last Frontier because we're on this cusp.
Right.
Whatever is to happen now, I'm not the guy to tell you.
Right.
I know there was an amendment to the current rules and changed that to feed demand. Medical growers are going to be allowed to sell to rec growers, and I know people that were medical going to rec can do a changeover, whether it was a one-time changeover of finished product or plants.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen now, and now with the whole COVID situation, everything's kind of like. I don't know what they're voting on and what's open for right now.
Right.
But as it stands right now, the laws are pretty good for caregivers. The best they've ever been.
Yeah.
So I've been able to grow in a proper way, and it's been nice.
Yeah.
And just figuring it out, dialing it, plugging away. They opened up canopy count, which did real good for me. There was a constriction of how many plants you could grow. And it was hard because originally you could only grow 36 plants. And it was set up that you could only grow to 5-6 patients. And some people we're doing this rotating slot where some people were like, all right, well, I'm going to get rid of a patient and bring a new patient, and I'm going to do this 5 times a day. And so there was a rotating slot.
Whoa.
Yeah. So basically, nobody has to do this anymore because now we can sell to shops and we can sell as many patients as we wanted.
Yeah.
But originally it was like, all right, well, I'm going to take this 5th slot, this rotating slot, or 6th slot. Forgive me, I honestly forget how many it was. It's been a minute. But so basically it would be like, all right, well, I have their paperwork. And I'm just gonna sign them off. Yeah. They're done. But they're gonna come back tomorrow or the next time, and I'm gonna sign them on as a medical patient again. And this was like the answer to over surplus or selling more product for a caregiver. And there was no you can't do this definition in the law. So it's kind of like if you tell me I can't do it, then I can do it.
Right.
Because you can't tell me I can't do it.
You didn't tell me I can't.
Which is very classic to the early years of this industry for sure.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I'm just going to do this till you tell me I can't. And when you tell me I can't, I'll figure out what I can do because you didn't tell me I could.
Yeah.
And then what happens is I think about December of last year we moved into, you could sell to unlimited patients and the storefronts. And I don't know all the exact facts of all the new law changes, but it's definitely changed a lot. Now you could under 500 square feet grow X amount of plants that you paid for. So that's helped me out a lot.
Yeah.
And just been practicing new methods and liking it.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. How does your company do with like extracts? Are you having someone turn anything into rosin or diamonds for you?
I've been using Joey from Top Secret. Shout out to Joe. He's a phenomenal guy. And I think I'm more personally trying to steer away from solvents.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm pro or against any certain way, but what I think when it comes to solvents, there's a lot of room for error, and I think there's a great products made with different gases and solvents, but I think it has to be done right. And so I think a lot of people,
it's definitely a science. For
sure.
Sure.
I don't know if a lot of people do it right.
Yeah.
And where I just like it's
washing hash and pressing it.
There's guys making better hash with $5,000 setups and guys with ridiculous setups.
Right.
But
the yield is a little less, or like what's?
Yeah, what you're always going to have to ask yourself is, what is the juice worth the squeeze for yourself?
For sure.
So, is there going to be less of a yield? I'm sure, especially when you're washing it. Certain things don't wash good.
Yeah.
As it is, so you're not going to get what you want from it.
Yeah.
Where there's always a kind of guarantee that you're going to get something from a solvent.
Yeah.
But other than that, I've just been kind of just practicing the laws of lean farming. Lean growing, which means
what's that?
So basically, it's just like you have to ask yourself, how much energy am I putting into one process?
Yeah.
And how can I cut this energy or cost out? Like how many times is somebody touching this final product? Like this weed here on the table, it's only ever been touched by somebody 3 times.
3 people?
Yeah. No, 3 times in general.
Yeah.
Like I touched it once to transplant it. I touched it again to cut it down and dry it. And I touched it one more time to trim it to the final product. It's only been touched 3 times since it's brought to the final customer.
Huh.
So you have to ask yourself, like, how can I do this more efficiently with less energy and less time?
So you're not defoliating, like you're not, as they would say, like lollipopping them and like touching them in that way.
Not too much, because now with the plant count, I'm able to do smaller plants.
Yeah.
So when I had monsters, I would have to de-leaf it constantly.
Yeah.
Undercut it constantly.
Yeah.
So I keep it trained, like keep it touched like that.
But if you know what you're doing, like working for your space, like you said, and like playing to your strengths,
yes,
you can
exactly.
like really dial in what looks like an amazing product. So talk to me a little bit more about lean farming.
Okay, so what lean farming is basically how efficient you can be at the process of what you're doing something. What happened is this is originated in Japan for the Toyota car manufacturing. And what they were doing when they were building these car manufacturing plants and facilities is they would bring in farm workers, mostly like rice farm workers from the countryside in Japan. And what they had learned is the most efficient way to do things. Japanese, in their culture, they have more than one name for waste. Mm-hmm. Muda being like the very popular one from what I've learned of it. And there's other ones like waste of byproducts from making a certain product.
Yeah.
Or time that you wasted doing something that could have been done quicker. How many steps did it take for you to do something? How many times was the final product touched? So like when I was saying earlier, from final product, for my grow myself, is I'm trying to do it 3 times. Trying to chop it down, I'm trying to hang it, I'm trying to just trim it, and then keep it stored. Because the final product is, no matter what, you always want something that's dry and cured proper, no matter what the genetic is, how popular that be.
Yeah.
So what this originated from is how when they were building these factories and these plants, how efficiently they can manufacture a car as quick. And this is just common practice that a lot of agricultural workers in Japan had for I couldn't even tell you how long.
Yeah.
So I had heard this originally on a podcast from a guy in like Indiana.
Yeah.
That was a farmer, big, I don't know how big, but decently sized farming. And so basically it's like how many times do you need to do something? How many steps? So do you need to constantly, if you're working somewhere, keep the tools, keep what you need to do there. Don't keep the tools in a tool shed or a tool drawer that you constantly have to walk back and look for. So when I first started doing this is my first step was I was going to make a dry room, a cure room. So that everything, the final product, no matter what, was at the perfect cure, perfect temp that I wanted something. So then you go from there. Now, tool wise. If you have to go work in the garden or work in the room, and you have to walk back and forth to find something, pair of shears, whatever the tool may be, you're wasting time walking back and forth to that area or whatnot. Granted, in a grow, the space is a lot smaller. But if you're on a farm and you got to walk acres away or certain hundreds of feet away to get one tool that you could bring back and keep there, it's a waste of time.
Like, yeah, you'd be wasting like 10 minutes a day, but then the 10 minutes a day adds up to being 70 minutes.
So what I first
a
did
week
with that is when you walk into my veg room or a flower room or any room that has plant work, every room has its own designated station there. Cleaning for tools, scissors, tools, zip ties, whatever you need is in that room. In my veg room, everything to transplant is in that veg room. Everything you need. You're not walking to get cocoa or whatever your growing medium is. You're not walking in there to get it. You're not walking to find a pair of shears. You're not walking to find anything. Smart pots, whatever you're growing in, is all figure out how to be stored right in that same room. So when I transplant whatever I'm transplanting to my final pot, or what you're trying to ideally for your final pot is how many times you got to carry that and how far you got to carry that.
Right.
So if you can figure out what location of where your final transplant is going to be, keep it as close to where it's finally got to go as possible.
Yeah.
So when you walk into a flower room, same. I have alcohol, I have shears, and everything you need. If you're undercutting plants, you need gloves. There's a station there in the room where there's gloves, there's scissors, and alcohol to clean the scissors, stuff to clean the scissors, little garbage, and you go away and you clean it when you put it back.
Yeah.
You don't have to walk in the room. You don't need to worry about asking somebody, hey, where's this?
So this is Muda.
Muda would be waste.
Waste. So you're removing
You're wasting
waste.
time.
You're wasting time.
You're wasting space.
Yeah.
You're storing something somewhere where it's not practically needed.
Or even, like you were saying, wasting if you have too many lights or if you have too much water.
Exactly.
Or
you constantly got to work on the
wasting-
same plant.
Yeah.
Over and over again.
Right.
You're wasting time. You need to figure out how many times you have to train that plant.
Yeah.
Because the plant, that's overall how everything works. Is that move of efficiency. Like I said, again, like you were saying, when you go bigger as a grow,
Yeah.
that's a waste. Because, again, is the juice worth the squeeze? Like,
Right.
if I want to run X amount of lights, yeah, that looks cool, maybe. But how much power did it go in to produce that final product?
Right.
When you could have got more off less energy consumption.
And more space, more risk for things to go wrong.
Yes. So that's Muda.
Right.
You're wasting this.
Yeah.
You're wasting all this energy to grow something that you could have grown with the same, less energy and understanding more of the efficiency. And I'm sure I'm nowhere near the first person to do this.
Yeah.
Or grower to even think of this. But the first thing when I started reading more into this style was I built a cure room or a dry room.
Yeah.
So basically it was a room that was climate controlled, heavily insulated, and I keep it at 60 and 60, 60% humidity and 60 degrees. And the weed is dried there, trimmed there, and stored there. Like I don't tote it. I don't let any gases
Curing
build
has
up.
so much to do with the final product.
Yeah, so you have to ask yourself, like, what does the consumer want?
Yeah.
Now, granted, there's always going to be different genetics, different cultivars that somebody's going to want. There's hype to it, or it's a classic favorite, like Chem Dog's a favorite, or something new came out and it's got a lot of hype. So it's hard to, it's not impossible, but it's harder to gauge what they're going to want, especially when you're trying to plan out a year's worth of growing and harvest. Because you only got so many harvests a year per row.
Right. Yeah.
So it's hard to know.
How do you decide?
How do I decide?
Do you go by strain or how it yields for you, or what makes you pick?
I mean, I definitely go for a yield, but I don't go for like the biggest yielder.
Yeah.
Like again, it goes like I have to make it somewhat worth it.
Right.
I kind of do a mix of what's sold the best to what me as still the connoisseur in me would like to do.
Yeah.
And I'm always changing.
Yeah.
I'm always finding new stuff that I like, and for that I've taken losses and I've taken gains.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people get comfortable to find a few things that they run, and that makes them a good grower because it can guarantee that final product to be good.
Yeah.
Whereas I just can't do it. I can't grow the same thing over and over again. I go crazy.
Yeah.
I feel inside myself, and that's not a shout out to anybody else. I just don't feel like I'm a good enough. I'm not testing myself.
So you're constantly switching out strains.
Constantly.
Yeah.
Constantly. Yeah.
Nice.
I can't tell you that I grow the same strain I did last year.
Wow.
Yeah.
Crazy. That's awesome though. So
I mean,
are you popping seeds?
Seeds, buying different cuts. I know from a clean source.
That can get risky, right? Buying cuts from people.
Yeah, over the years I've accumulated a few people that I know.
Yeah.
Just from that, they're growing their ethics and their growing style and their work ethic that I can guarantee.
Yeah.
But it's to buy from a stranger, I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah.
Like, know your source.
For sure.
For
everything.
Yes, for everything. But yes. But I want to always say that out of all the growers I've met, and that's not the shout out, there's probably 2 people I would buy cuts from and feel reassured.
Nice.
Because it's a headache.
Yeah. And that's great. So you have you feel like there's like a community behind that where people are people up here, can trust each other and build a community where you can share these cuts and these trusted paths and networks.
I think what it is that you came to a time in the industry maybe when it was still a culture or a scene where there was less likelihood that people were going to hand over something to you or even sell something to you because it was like their niche corner in the market. Mm-hmm. They had this one, either less people had it or their market that they're selling to, the people that are buying from them, they could get it from there. So it was kind of like you weren't going to see somebody sell it. But I think now what you're opening up to is just so much.
Yeah.
Somebody can buy seeds and end up with a better genetic or cut than you.
Yeah.
So I think it's almost flipped to where you want, if you're especially in the business of selling these cuts, that you want something that's kind of hype, it's kind of hot, and it's constantly moving on.
Yeah.
But that's when it comes to buying cuts and worrying about clean stuff like that. It's almost like I know you can get caught up wanting to grow something you think everybody wants.
Right.
But if it's gonna come with bugs or mold, like just don't do it, man.
Yeah.
Like grow something that might not be as hot, but it's gonna be a better product.
So what to you is like the hottest strain right now?
Man, I don't
is
know.
Run still big?
I don't know. It's changing so much.
I know, it's crazy. It is. I can't keep up with it sometimes.
No, I know a lot of the the OG Kush breath crosses are always been popular.
Mando breath.
Yeah, breath. I saw one the other day when I was actually looking for seeds. It was called Dirty Bananas. And it was like it was like something like it was like Honey Bananas by OG Kush breath or Grateful Breath or something. But no, it's such a big and ongoing market that a lot of breeders themselves won't even resell the same thing just to keep that desire.
Right.
Because if you could buy the same thing constantly, you're never going to want it.
Yeah. I think that like having variety is
so now it's
what
like
gets people into the stores, right?
I'm going to make this something sour apple and I'm only going to sell these seeds and then I'm throwing it away, I'm killing it. So like if you buy these seeds, you're going to be the guy that has this.
Right.
So if it's a
and if you're making a limited amount of the seeds, then only limited amount of people have the strain.
Yeah. So there's a desire to it.
Yeah.
Which is that's what it comes down to when you're buying these cuts. Maybe somebody sold you this cut 5 years ago. 3 years ago.
Yeah.
But now it's like if you can get it.
Is there anything you're after that you're like, damn, I really wish I could grow this one strain?
No.
You've got some pretty fire strains. What do you got here? This is the ice cream cake?
Ice cream cake. That's lava cake. And this is Granimals. And I bought these actually as cuts from Jeff at Accession Farms. Shout out to Jeff. Jeff's a great grower, and he can guarantee a clean product, clean cuts. Yeah. And I've known him pretty well for years now. So that all came from him, actually, sadly. Well, not sadly, but I can't say that I went out and feed 100 of those myself. No.
No, that's great, though. I mean,
yeah.
Hell yeah. That's awesome. Sliding over. Cool. Well, I think that was like a great conversation with you. And dude, thanks for coming in. Everybody that comes on the show gets a gift. So I have something for you.
Well, I like gifts.
All right. So you get a VHS copy of E.T., the extraterrestrial. It's a Steven Spielberg film. It says on the top, the story that touched the world.
Well, good.
That's for you, Cudo. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for coming in and hanging out and chatting with us here on Top Tree State. Yeah. Cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks, everybody. I'm going to get blazed and feel like E.T. while watching E.T. My second favorite Spielberg flick.
Is it?
No.